Hi there, my name's Wolfster. Thank you very much for joining me, and welcome to the overall theme of the full 18 episodes that I'm going to be doing, entitled, Is the Human Race About to Mature? And this episode, as you can see here, episode 7, Stand in Your Power. Now, what do I mean by stand in your power? I'm not talking about, oh yeah, look at me. I'm talking not about external power at all. What I'm actually talking about is an internal power, a power that you have inwardly, that is your gift as a part of your spirit, and it needs to be developed, acknowledged, and worked on. And I guess this is the only similarity to something external. It needs to be built up like a muscle does. If you don't use it, it becomes weak. If you use it and do those weights, then it becomes strong. So in turn, your internal power needs to be developed, worked on, and strengthened. When you are firmly standing in your power, boy, what a difference it will make to your life. You won't believe it. And the synthetic world that we live in actually tries to rob you of that power. Now, why do I call it your power also? I learned that terminology from my knowledge of studying in Nordic and Druid, pagan type things, religions. And so I got that term, standing in your power, from there. But I also like the term that the Native Americans use. They say, stand in your truth. So be in your truth, speak your truth, know your truth. That one I like too. But I especially like the ones the term that is used by the Maori people of New Zealand. They actually say, have a good place to stand. So I am standing here. And this has got nothing to do with the block of land or the piece of dirt that we're standing on. It's remember, I'm talking about internally. But I am standing here. This is me. I have the right to stand here. I have the right to be who I am. And you stand in that energy. But when you see someone else standing somewhere else, and they say, well, this over here, this is a good place for me to stand, then you acknowledge that. That's a good place for them to stand. They can stand in their own power. They can stand in their own truth. And that's good for them. But I don't have the right to say, no, that's not a good place for you to stand. No, you can't stand over there. No. Everybody has their unique person, their unique experience in life, their unique experience over many, many lives that make up who you are. And so everybody is acknowledged to have their own place. However, you need to have your own place. So this is why I like the term standing in your power, because you don't allow anyone to say, no, you can't be here. The same as you don't say to someone else, no, you can't be there. So this is you. You have a right to be here. You have a right to be who you are. You are an individual. And it's very important because each and every individual on this planet is a part of the human race, and we contribute our own little bit. And as we as we mature, then we help the whole human race to mature. Now, as I've stated, you must know who you are. I have actually talked a bit about this. I think I started in episode 1 when I was talking about what you are. And I made the statement, before you can know who you are, you have to know what you are. Just go back to that a little bit. So, what you are is a spirit. You are a spirit being. You have a body, and you have your mental body, your emotional body, your spirit, and your physical body. So it's not a case of your physical body having a spirit. It's rather your spirit has a body. And I've called it here the temporary mind. You could call that the conscious mind if you like, because I think that's the more common term that people use. To me, when we die, we leave the body, the physical body behind. The temporary body goes into the subconscious mind. And for a while, for a few days, maybe a week, or actually once you've died, time doesn't exist anymore. So it's not timed, but everything in your temporary mind becomes absorbed into the subconscious mind, and that goes with you. So this is what we are. Now, what I'm talking about here is who you are. So there's a difference between what you are, but you've got to understand what you are to know who you are. And so once you know what you are and who you are, then being in your power means that you can find a completeness within yourself. You're not searching anymore. You're not trying to discover things about yourself. You know who you are. And it's very important at this stage then, and I know what I'm saying, that's no easy trick either, I know, and it may even take many lifetimes to get to this point. But once you understand what you are and then who you are, it's very important, or the next step is to actually see yourself and experience, this is the key word, experience yourself, not as your body, not as your temporary mind or your conscious mind, some like to say, not even experiencing as your emotions. Your emotions are energy vibrations that actually exist in the ether, and we absorb them. But we're not our emotions. We are our spirit. But you must learn at this stage, and this is probably a much more advanced stage of spiritual evolution. Not everyone's there yet or ready for it. I acknowledge that. But one day you will be. Everyone will be. You must learn and train yourself to actually experience life as being a spirit. Now, many talk about opening the third eye. You heard of that one? You heard of the third eye? Many people have. Maybe some of you haven't. But the third eye, it's kind of like that eye of your spirit. And when it's awakened, you see through being as a spirit person. For any of you that haven't had this experience yet, and probably many of you haven't, just think of an illustration. Think of someone who's been blind their whole life. They were born blind. And all the way through their life, people talk to them about things that they see, which is a bit cruel, I suppose, but we talk about the beauty of the earth and maybe colours and all the things that people that are sighted would just take for granted. But someone who's been blind from birth would have no concept of. Now just imagine that person, maybe they're in their 50s or been blind their whole life, haven't got a clue what it's like to see. And then they have an operation, maybe get bionic eyes implanted, connected to the optic system. And suddenly they wake up, oh, I can see. Wow, I didn't know you could. I've heard of all these things people have talked about. Now I can see them? Ow! Well, that's what it's like if you open your third eye, the eye of your spirit. And you can actually experience life as your spirit. That actually changes your whole perspective of everything. It means that things externally that are going on out there in the world that you think you're a part of, when you realize you're a spirit, things going on don't affect you anywhere near the same as they do before. You can develop things like inner peace. Peace is something I'd just like to spend a couple of minutes on. Peace is so much more than just an absence of conflict. Peace is an inner sense of stillness, of calmness, of oneness. And when you have that inner peace, then that's something that you reflect out and you experience outwardly. So, inner peace you have. Another thing is inner security. Inner security, instead of seeking external validation for being who you are, instead of trying to get feedback from others or working with others, trying to look at social norms to find out who you are, or even what I spoke of in the previous episode about ego, the false ego. But there is such a thing as a healthy ego, which is what I'm talking about here. This is really the healthy ego, standing in your power. But also you refuse the superego, which is thinking you're better than anybody else. But also you deny the id, which is where this society tries to tell you you're worthless or useless. You refuse in your power, when you're standing in your power, you refuse to say, no, I'm not to be pushed down. But also, you don't think you're better than anyone else. We are all on a road. We are all on a path of learning, and many are on different levels. Doesn't matter what level you're on. We are all equal, and we are all part of the human race, which I'm going to develop a bit more in a moment. And also another area is self-control. When you're seeing yourself not as this, or as this, or even as this. You're seeing yourself as your spirit. You're looking out through that third eye of your spirit. You can see your mind. You can see what it's doing over there. And you can actually take control of it. It's almost impossible, to control your mind, your what I call the temporary mind or your conscious mind. It's almost impossible to control it with your mind. But when you experience yourself as your spirit, then you can see your mind, what it's doing. And you can actually say, hey, no, quit it. Change your mind. You can have that power to change your mind. Also with your emotions. Your emotions, they can run away with you. Emotions are how we motivate ourselves, as I've spoken in previous episodes. They're how we motivate ourselves. Our mind is how we guide ourselves. But if we've got emotions just running rampant, running wild, out of control, boy, does that cause problems. As well as, if you haven't got emotions working properly, then you can be a person that I sometimes call gunners. Ever heard of a gunner? I don't mean guns. A gunner. Yeah. One day I'm gonna do this. One day I'm gonna do that. Do they ever do it? No, because they haven't got the emotional vibration to actually motivate them to do it. So you've got to have those two, your mind and emotions, in balance, working together. And the way to do that is to learn. I'm saying it doesn't come. This isn't taught in society. You've got to learn that you are not just what you are, but who you are is your spirit, and experience yourself as your spirit. If you can do that, you will be well on your way to, as an individual, being spiritually mature. And you'll be well on your way to taking your place in helping the whole human race to mature. This also leads me into other aspects as well. When you experience yourself as your spirit, you also have a sense of eternity, because your spirit doesn't die. You are and have the sense of being an eternal being. This is why it's not natural for us humans to accept death. And it's also why we have a fear of death. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people have a fear of death. That could be because of what religions teach you. If you haven't been a good boy, haven't been a good girl, then maybe you're off somewhere where you don't want to go. But never mind that. When you experience yourself as your spirit, it changes your whole perception of the way you live. You'll find that time doesn't matter anymore, because you have the sense of eternity, not the sense of just whatever you've got left of 70, 80 years. It also brings in things like self-respect. When you're in your power, you have self-respect. When you know who you are and what you are, you can respect that. And self-respect Self-respect is very, very critical. I'm going to talk a bit more about this in the coming episode, which is going to be about relationships. But if you, I'm going to say this now, I think, never ever allow your self-respect to be violated. This is something I don't know how many times I've helped people, counseled people, particularly in relationships. If you feel that your self-respect is being violated, that's the time to get out of the relationship. Never ever allow your self-respect to be violated. And put it this way, if someone is willing to violate your self-respect, they're first not respecting themselves, they're not respecting you, and that's time to get out of the relationship. But when you're in your power, you will not allow your self-respect to be violated. Another thing with self-respect, if you lack it, if you're without self-respect, then what you'll actually be doing is putting out there in subconsciously, or it's sometimes called subliminally, subliminal mind, you'll be putting out subliminal messages that actually say, I am not respectable. People that may not pick it up in the what I call the temporary mind, the conscious mind, they may not suddenly think that, but they will pick it up subliminally. And for some reason, they just won't feel like they need to respect you. So if you have self-respect, which is a part of standing in your power, then the message that you'll put out is, I am a person to be respected. And people will just naturally respect you without even knowing why. Straight from word go, they'll have a measure of respect for you. The same as self-trust. Self-trust is another one. You must trust yourself. If you don't trust yourself, you won't know how to trust other people. In fact, if you don't feel you can trust yourself, that will be the subliminal message you put out there with trust. And other people will pick up vibrationally that you are not a person who trusts yourself, and they will then immediately have the feeling, this deep feeling, because we all have this what I call a connection center of our spirit. We pick up on vibes from the universe and from each other and from everywhere. And we pick up on this subliminally. And the message, if you don't trust yourself, the message you will put out there will be, I am not trustworthy. So again, this is all part of being who you are, knowing who you are, having inner peace, having inner security. So it doesn't matter what happens around you, you will always have security within yourself, even if there's no security around you. Self-control, sense of eternity, self-respect, self-trust, and self-love as well. That's very important. Now, your personal inner power is, of course, as I've said, not the false ego, but a good, healthy, balanced ego within yourself. It means that you will refuse to go into the id, and you will also refuse the superego, or the false ego that is often spoken about. But also you will have a sense of connection. Much, much deeper. And I'm not talking about the connection in social media or on the phone or on whatever. I'm not talking about that type of connection. In fact, I will go to the point of saying we think we're the most connected generation ever. I would actually say, and like to suggest, we're probably the most disconnected generation, because we're relying on these mobile phones and today for our connection, but we are lacking inner connection. And our inner connection, our inner power, which is knowing who we are and what we are and who we are, our inner connection gives us connection to all other life forms. It connects you as an individual, as part of the human race. Native Americans actually have a term that I would like to, and I hope I'm going to pronounce this right. I haven't said it for a while. It's known as Taquiasan. I'll say it again. I feel good when I say that. Taquiasan. What it literally means is all my relations. Now that's not in the term that many understand relations to be. We are related to every form of life. Everything and everyone are my relations. We have a relationship within ourselves, first of all, starting off. And then from that, once we have our power, we know who we are, we know what we are, we know who we are, then we can reach out. And other humans, we can see that they are, in fact, the whole human race is our relation. We are all connected. There's the understanding that if you do something terrible to someone else, you are actually also doing that to yourself. Yeah? So we are all related. From the ants that crawl on the ground, in fact, our body has an amazing connection and relationship to bacteria. Actually, if we didn't have bacteria, we wouldn't be able to digest our food and we'd die. So we have an amazing connection with bacteria, but we also can connect to the animals. They are our teachers, the animals. Each animal has its own instinctive traits, and we can learn from them. So we're related to the animals, even to the trees. The trees and the plants, we're related to it. So yes, and I think I'm going into some of the next one now, which is going to be episode 8, which is relationships. So before my head is going into relationships, I'll draw a close to episode 7. I hope you've enjoyed this information. I hope it benefits you, and I'll see you in the next episode, which will be, I've got it here, episode 8, relationships. Okay, bye for now.